All right, so we're here talking about Black Panther. So we have a father and son. We did a spoiler review of Justice League last time, and we're back to do Black Panther because we went to see the movie together. And of course,
then I saw it again with my mom.
Yeah. But what I'm just saying is that like we're gonna do a spoilers review because right now the movie's been out for like 2 weeks. It's already hit like the 500 million mark worldwide. So
yeah,
it's not even. It's only just now the second weekend. Well, yeah, forget about that. When people want to say how it beat Justice League, it doesn't matter. Know why they say that? Because they're not actually saying it beat Avengers. It's beating Star Wars right now. So, it's leaving everybody in the dust. It was already at the number 5 all-time selling movie, and now it's at number 3.
And
probably
it's also
2 by the end of this weekend.
The best MCU film.
Well, obviously also the best MCU film, but then also too is because we got Infinity War coming up, it's actually, when people saying, where's the sequel to Black Panther 2, that's it. Infinity War, Black Panther 1.5. Because I think that's what?
Sort of. Like, the first act is Black Panther 1.5. Like.
Definitely. So because, well, we know that a big set piece takes place in Wakanda. Yeah. So, what?
I said that's got to be the first act of the film.
Well, yeah, either way, it's like, I think that's why with a lot of the complaints about, where people seem to have to find complaints about Black Panther, is that they didn't see enough Black Panther, they didn't see enough T'Challa in the movie named Black Panther. And it's because they were doing all of this world building of Wakanda, and they knew that Wakanda was already, the warriors of Wakanda were going to be involved in the Infinity War. And so now we have an introduction to them. So that way when we see them, and it's only like 10 weeks later, we're excited to see M'Baku.
The DCEU should take notes.
Unfortunately, he's right. DCEU definitely needs to take some notes. They've already changed their head of DC even before he even got started. So anyway, Black Panther. First initial reaction, my boy. We went on the first day of the first show. What was your reaction to Black Panther?
Okay, so before the movie, I was like, okay, this is just gonna be generic origin story, whatever. It's not gonna be really important to like the stuff, but no, it really is important to the timeline and stuff, and it's like, and it's not one of them movies that you can just skip. No, it's really important, and especially with Infinity War, because like if you skip Black Panther and go straight to Infinity War, you probably won't understand most of it, well, at least the Wakanda part of the story anyway. So.
Or the Soul Stone?
We'll get to that later.
Okay, we'll get to that. Yeah. So, obviously, yeah. There's been a lot of planning in this. From the moment in Age of Ultron, not just when we've seen Claude for the first time, where he lost his hand, but also we saw Wakanda on the computers and everything like that. So, it was like Easter egg drop.
There's also the hints at vibranium in Age of Ultron as well.
Well, we were talking about, and I was going to bring that up. We were talking about how Captain America's shield supposedly will have some vibranium in it as well. And we saw it created in Captain America First Avenger, right? And so, like we were saying, well, wait a minute, hold on for a second. If Wakanda was isolationist, as we find out in this film, especially T'Chaka, which he had done some stuff when he was Black Panther and everything, like how did Howard Stark get a hand on vibranium? To create Captain America's shield. And you brought that up, and I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, and keep in mind that was in like 1945 as well. So
exactly. So
that was probably even before T'Chaka actually.
It could have been, yeah. It could have been the Black Panther before T'Chaka and everything. But we also had surmised that because Claw was running around stealing vibranium and trying to raid Wakanda for his resources, there was probably somebody before Claw that was doing that as well.
Yeah.
So, I mean, vibranium did exactly get out into the world, as a stolen resource and everything, but somehow the Americans got a hold of it and, used some of it to make Captain America's shield. But because they're going back in time in Infinity War and they're going to meet Captain America at that time period, we estimated or speculated that possibly we could find out that Cap had, not Cap, but Howard Stark had somehow came across vibranium, and that might be in Infinity War.
It wouldn't be Infinity War, it would be in the 2019 film.
The part 2.
Yeah.
Either way but I mean, like, it was a dangling plot point, right? So, I mean, that was cool. I mean, and this was all, like, setting up to, Black Panther and everything. So, let's get into it, right? Black Panther and everything. So,
I just realized I'm wearing a DC thing and a movie thing.
It doesn't matter.
That's disgraceful.
It doesn't. I mean, we believe here, especially, in the Centuries, is that Marvel and DC, same thing. We're just big superhero fans and stuff,
Yeah.
I know I'm wearing my spirit animal right here with my
Anyway,
so let's get right into it. So, Black Panther. I mean, the way I would like to talk about it from the angle that a lot of people haven't really been speaking on with the film, because they talk about the action and they talk about their disappointment in the special effects. I don't want to go down that route. I mean, what I want to go down is the actual route of the storyline itself. At the core, it's a love story. I mean, the story actually begins with Black Panther going to retrieve his ex-girlfriend, who for him is the love of his life, and that's Nakia, because his father... Nakia, yeah. That's because his father has died. This takes place only 1 week after Civil War ends, which I was actually surprised about, because, Bucky's supposed to be on ice and everything, Cap's hiding out, so I was wondering if we're going to see them in the movie. But, so it begins there, and... and it turns out that Nakia is a war dog or a spy. Wakanda sends out people to, get the lay of the land, find out what everybody else is doing and stuff. And Nakia is one of them. She used to be one of the members of the Dora Milaje. She also used to be his girlfriend, but, she was like, look, we need to go out into the world, and that's going to come back later. We need to go out in the world to figure out things. And so, but he wants her by his side because when his father has died, now he's going to become king, and he wants her there. So it's like going out to bring her back for the coronation, right? Yeah. But what I thought was really interesting, and this is what I like about the trailers for Black Panther, because a lot of times we're disappointed by trailers, aren't we? Because they show too much and, and everything. And
well, actually... For me, the trailers, I completely forgot about the trailers when I saw the film.
Yeah, no, exactly, me too. But what I'm just trying to say is that, what I liked about the trailer of this film is that, we've seen action sequences and we've seen bits, but when you watch it in the film, it's so different. It's kind of like they showed you, different angles of fights and everything, and so I was just sitting there, I was totally amazed. Anyway, so that scene where Okoye, played by Denai Guerrero, says to him, "Don't freeze," and he says, "I never freeze," right?
No, it's I never freeze.
Yeah, and you're thinking she's talking about, look, don't get scared or whatever, don't panic. He's going into a fight. And, he drops out of the ship and everything, and he throws the balls and stuff like that. And it's an intricate, great fight sequence in Lagos, I believe it is, and everything, where he has to rescue her from this, I guess it's kind of like a slavery train in a way, where they got these women, and these guys are transporting them and stuff. But she's not talking about the fight, and neither is he. It turns out that she's like, when you see Nakia, don't freeze up. You know what I mean? I know you got issues, but don't freeze up. He's like, oh, I never freeze. And then he sees her, and what does he do?
He freezes.
And it's kind of like saying, a lot of people saying, yo, Black Panther's too perfect. He's too powerful, and he needs some kind of foibles. And his foible is his love. his love for his woman, he doesn't know how to say, hey woman, he's not, hey woman, come back to me, all that kind of stuff. He's like, can you come? My father's died and I need you to come and be by my side if you can do so. And she, and she does so. So that was like that first opening action sequence, which is cool. They returned to Wakanda. We've seen that in the trailer where they break through the bubble and stuff, where there's a whole invisible shield around the core city.
It's a lot like the Inhumans.
Yeah, very much so. Like Adeline and everything, when it was on the moon and stuff like that. We don't really talk too much about the Inhumans, but yeah, it was. So, but there was this whole big secret place, that's hidden from the world. And it's full of Afrofuturism. And this is what I want to talk about, because a lot of people don't talk about this, is that when they're in Wakanda, when they're walking through the township, T'Challa and Nakia and stuff, what I was noticing in the background is there was a lot of big kind of 70s styles. I mean, there was guys walking around in red zoot suit brim hats. You know what I mean? And it was kind of as if they, they take what they love, and because it was a book in the 70s, it was really kind of a throwback to that. When everybody talk about the clothing styles, which is all beautiful, colors are amazing, but I noticed that, in the town and everything, that people had that kind of 70s look. Look at it again, you'll see what I'm saying, it's a lot very hip. And funny enough, Ryan Coogler talks about the fact that there was a scene that he wanted to shoot and didn't shoot, which was T'Challa and Nakia actually jogging through the township, so that way he could explore more of what it looked like and stuff. But it would have been in the style of Rocky, which is one of his favorite films because he made Creed and everything. So, but what we did was we went right into the coronation, and we got in the waterfall where T'Challa would have to, prove, would have to prove, his self-worth and everything, to be king, and be open for challenges. We had this wall where you had all the different tribes and different colors and everything. And yes, it's CG. So what? You know what I mean? So what? I mean, the main thing about it is all those people were there. I mean, it's usually the way they do things. So it wasn't something that we needed to be complaining about. So, it was, to me, it felt like a throwback to a different world, which you probably don't remember, some 80s TV show that was a spinoff of the Cosby Show, where, it was an introduction to American audiences. This colorful blend of colors, because it was set at a black college. And so all of a sudden you had all these color schemes like yellows and blues and purples. And then in the 80s, to 90s, that just became the color scheme. That was very urban. So when you're looking at that wall of all the different tribes, that's what I was seeing. I was seeing yellows and greens and blues and everything like that. But it was definitely ethnic. It was African. It was black. It was beautiful. It was great, And so we get the fact that, which I didn't really actually know, we get the fact that with Forrest Whitaker's character Zuri, that T'Challa could actually lose the powers, so that way it make him be able to do a fair fight. He could drink a solution, and it could take away the strength that the heart-shaped herb gives him, and everything. Which is risky.
It's not the Soul Stone, by the way.
No, that's not the Soul Stone. But it's not. It's purple. It's not the Soul Stone. But so then he fights M'Baku. So we see M'Baku for the first time. Wearing a skull ape mask and everything, which was a good throwback to Mayonnaise.
Yeah, in the comics he's Mayonnaise, but you didn't call him that because racism.
Well, it's just that, it's not a good thing. I mean, if this film is going to be all about a positive depiction of black women, black men, and all that kind of stuff in Africa, you don't need to be going around calling the guy Manic, so they didn't do that, and it was fine, you know what I mean? But let's just say he is a part of the mountain tribe, or the gorilla tribe, and everything, and so they do worship the gorillas, or the white gorilla. So that was really cool. So, but what was great is that T'Challa showed what kind of king he would be, and that would be a merciful king. So instead of killing M'Baku, he was like, look, stop fighting. You've lost. Your people need you. And then he, gives in and everything. So that was great. And then so we get to see a little bit of Wakanda politics. And this is where people said the story kind of slowed down, when we get the African Council and, they hear about Claw being out there, what should they do, and they debate about it a little bit. What did you think? Did you think that slowed it down, or did it keep your interest?
When you were at, the museum?
Oh, no, not yet. I'm talking about when they were still in Wakanda, deciding on, look, we got to go after Claw and everything.
Oh, yeah, it was
we got to go get the vibranium.
Yeah, it was a bit, slow paced on the first viewing.
But it was building. So it was building the characters. I mean, I think it was important. Not every movie is fast. Iron Man and, Captain America and all that kind of stuff. It's not action all the time and everything. But then, they just, they know that Claw's out there and they decide to go after him. And that's where we get our James Bond sequence in Korea. And actually what was interesting is, you wouldn't know it, but it was set in Busan, which is a place where they did this famous zombie movie called Train to Busan, which is supposed to be really like zombies on a train and stuff like that. So that's where in Korea where they went. But they were in a casino and they were looking great. It was great.
The black, red and green, which is the colors of the
African flag, yeah. And Everett Ross is there.
That was cool.
What do you think of Everett Ross?
He was so you know how in movies there's always a token black guy? Well, he's the token white guy.
What's wrong with that? Right? Exactly. What's wrong with that, right? But what I think a lot of people don't understand, a lot of people have been complaining that, what's the point of him? Even if he's the token white guy, what's the point?
Yeah, people saying, what's the point? He doesn't make any sacrifices, he's got no story. But, I say that he's only there to, for them to make jokes, and plus in the end credit scene he does have it was sort of his idea to have that whole thing and stuff.
Yeah.
Without him they wouldn't really
well what I just want to say is the Christopher Priest run of the Black Panther comics, that's where Everett K. Ross is important. He is kind of the audience, he's the white audience introduced into Wakanda. So in the comics, he serves as the liaison between the government and Wakanda, because he's the only one that Black Panther trusts to come in and out. Yeah, and so that relationship was established in this movie with them, and that's what he is. He's just kind of hey, oh my god. That's how he is in the comics, and that's why Martin Freeman was perfect for the role, and that is the role that he is. So he does serve a purpose. He's one of the characters. We wouldn't say why do you have Jimmy Olsen, or why do you have Iris West? It's they're important. He's an important supporting character. So, and I thought they did it beautifully with him. His arc is great. But I want to say what I haven't heard a lot of people say is that's where Stan Lee's cameo is. What I thought this was the best Stan Lee cameo, I thought, in all the Marvel films. What did you think?
Just counting the MCU films?
Yeah. I mean, because
I was about to say, not counting them, I would say Amazing Spider-Man was, the best.
Oh, yeah, when he's in the library. Yeah. But the thing about it is, what I mean is, he usually gets a one line, right, and everything, and, he just pops in and out, and he does that in all of the different movies. But I liked in this movie, it felt because we heard that, they were going to shoot these extra scenes for, Stan Lee because, he might pass and stuff. But he was actually in that casino, because in the scene that he has with Martin Freeman where he takes the chips, I'll just take that, right? I just thought it was a cute little scene, but it felt it's not something that you could shoot on a green screen like they could have done for Spider-Man Homecoming when he was outside the window and everything like that. I just thought it was a really good scene.
I like the I like the cameo where he's the barber.
Yeah, that's a great one. In Thor Ragnarok, where he's oh, I'm gonna cut your hair. And it's no, not my hair. Oh, no. That was really good. So anyway, great fight sequence. And this is where this is where mind blown, because, when Okoye, pulls out the vibranium staff and starts taking out, the guys on the second floor, and then Nakia starts doing her karate and all that kind of stuff. It was just amazing, because, I saw it behind the scenes, and there was so many multi-cameras on that shoot as well, like trying to get all the action, and it was very frenetic pacing and stuff. But, I just thought that the women they just excelled in the fight sequence and stuff, like, so Claude, is like getting away and everything, so they're chasing him, and then, Shuri gets into the simulacron car, because he's able to put a device on a car, and she's able to 3D model hologram control it. So she's driving the car, for Big Brother, and he's on top of the car, and that sets us off for that big chase sequence, which was amazing. What do you think about that sequence?
Yeah, it was cool, but I feel like we've seen enough of Black Panther jumping on cars and stuff.
Yeah, like from Civil War, right? It's like, hey, look, we know you're a cat. You're on all fours. Do you really have to ride another car?
I wouldn't be surprised that he would jump on a car in Infinity War or something.
Yeah. No, it wouldn't be, but like, look, he did it differently because, his suit was different. So with the different suit, which absorbs kinetic energy, he was able to flip that car. Come on, that was awesome.
So after the car fight, he's about to kill Claw and stuff. Now, what I liked about that was that it reminded me in Civil War of how he wanted to kill Winter Soldier. So basically, so it's like the thing with like T'Challa, that he always lets his emotions get ahead of him, and he doesn't like think first.
Yeah, but in Civil War, his father just died. He was only the prince. He wasn't the king. So it's now he has to think before he acts.
Yeah.
So he can't be as irrational. He was very irrational in Civil War, and I think that was what was really amazing, because he was like, nothing's stopping me. Get out of my way. Not even just Ayo, the girl who says, get out of the way. That was his attitude too.
And then what does he do at the end of the last fight? Kills the villain.
All right, man. Don't jump ahead. Don't jump ahead. But yeah, so anyway, because first of all, you got to end the car chase. So what happens is that, he stops the car. That's when he pulls the wheel off the car and everything. But before he does that, it's like Claw shoots the car that Ayo and Okoye and Nakia are in. But Okoye is on the car. She's got like some vibranium shoes. She's able to surf the car and everything like that. And then he shoots the car. The car blows apart, right? Maybe because it's sound energy and not fire, so that it doesn't explode. But he blows the car apart, and you see her flipping in the air. She grabs her spear, and then she stabs onto her like a door and surfs it. It's like, and she surfs it down the road.
That reminded me of Spider-Man 3 with like the Sandman,
What did that mean? Something like that?
Like where like I think like this truck like sort of like exploded, and then like Spider-Man was like surfing on like part of the truck, like reaching the Sandman or something.
I don't know.
It
possibly it happened. But I'm just trying to say, the end of that joke is that car is exploded, but the kid just comes sliding down, still driving the little chair and everything. I thought that was funny. And that leads us into the interrogation scene in the trailer, where Claw's asking Martin Freeman if he knows about Wakanda. Now, we thought, the way it plays in the trailer, it's like the beginning of the movie, and does Martin Freeman actually know? But then he's like, yeah, right, huts and everything. I don't think he doesn't know, but it's a plot and everything like that. And Claude is only actually biding his time because he knows that Killmonger is coming. So now we're like, because we've already introduced the Killmonger at that museum scene, and everything like that. And Killmonger, blows out the wall, and he rescues Claude and everything. And and he has a ring around his neck. And so when Black Panther comes out to chase the truck, he sees the ring, and it's a Wakandan ring that is from his family. It's like, wait a minute, it's impossible. and everything, and that's when he realizes something's wrong. And like what we did was, or what I did was, I skipped over the beginning, which is actually very important. So I'm just going to jump right back to it. And now I'm not talking about how the meteor from space came to create vibranium and all that other kind of stuff. But the first opening scene where we see T'Chaka as the young Black Panther.
Can we go back to that meteor thing and stuff?
Yeah, go ahead. Go
it's a lot like what Thor: The Dark World did.
What do you mean?
In the beginning, where they had like the exposition of the of the Dark World and the elves and stuff.
Yeah,
it was like that.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny how like the best MCU movie took inspiration from the worst MCU movie.
Well, no, it's not that. It's saying how the MCU or the Marvel Universe, it's expansive. It's about space. So Asgard is not even about gods, but more about aliens. And so we're going in cosmic. Marvel Phase 4 is going cosmic. So, this vibranium, meteorite, it came, to Earth, but it hit into the cradle of civilization. So, like, in that fashion, that's what's really magical about it. But it turns out that his uncle, Njobo, played by the great Sterling K. Brown, is telling the story to his son, who turns out to be Eric Stevens, who later becomes Killmonger. And what it is that, so T'Chaka, a ship comes and everything like that, and the kid sees something in the sky, and it turns out that to the early Dora Milaje, what T'Chaka is coming for Njobo, who is his brother. And he's like, look, I've come to find you, my brother, and everything. Look, I've been taking this... Back to the second part of the podcast, because, got interrupted before. So where we cut off before was where we were talking about how T'Chaka, had killed his brother and left Eric behind and everything. And, and how, devastating that was. And that actually, led T'Challa into going back to Wakanda to find out from his father by traveling back to the Djali, which is what we really believe to be the Soul World, right? Now, the Soul World is a big thing in the comics. I don't know why no other podcast was talking about this, because... Well, no, I'm just saying that they're accepting the whole Lion King aspect of, the Black Panther's version of the Afterlife, but not realizing that the Soul Stone, if it has been in Wakanda for all of this time, that means for all of this time, the Wakandans had access to the Soul World. Now, with Adam Warlock, who, when the Infinity Gems was a big thing in the comics, he had the Soul Gem on his forehead, and it allowed him to access the Soul World or the Afterlife. And in that fashion, he got trapped in there at one point as well, and we got to see that, it's this real spiritual kind of bridge place, halfway station. So it makes real sense. And they also didn't have to espouse upon it in the Black Panther movie, which already had all these characters and world building that they had to deal with. But for those of us who are really super geeky about it, super sweaty about all of this, that's what it comes down to, because Infinity War, as we already see, goes back to Wakanda. So why does Thanos go to Wakanda? Because that's where the Soul Stone is, right? And it's not in the vibranium mine.
Thanos doesn't go to Wakanda, the Black Order does.
Yeah, okay, this is the true on the hunt for the Soul Gems. But it's not in the vibranium mines. It has nothing to do with vibranium. It has nothing to do with the heart-shaped herb. It's in the orange dust. It's in the earth itself. You know what I mean? So those big black monoliths that you see crashing down, and stuff like that, that's because they're digging for the Soul Stone. And unfortunately, the Lego playsets, which they often do, they already had kind of revealed that the Soul Stone was in one of those monoliths. So that's another thing, proof positive. But I think what's important that I wanted to state was Soul World and everything. So if we're the only ones that's mentioning Soul World, that's all good, isn't it? So now what's great, or what's also interesting is when T'Challa went in, right, because he had the dirt put on him, he saw what the other Black Panthers of the line see, which is that, oh, this is like the afterlife for the Black Panthers. It's where I can see my father, it's where I can see his father, and so on and so on, you know. But when Killmonger went in, right, he didn't go into the T'Challa, right? So it only means that whoever is implanted into the sand goes to their own version of heaven. And for him to see his father, it took him back to that room where his father died. How did you feel about that scene?
I was like, oh, he's that kid that we saw in the beginning. Oh.
Wake up call.
And then that was basically my reaction to it. I wasn't really paying attention to what they were saying. But it wasn't until the second viewing, I was like, oh, okay, now.
Yeah, so what did you get?
That, you know, it's like,
It was
that, like, yeah, he found his, like, his stuff of, like, Wakanda and, and then he was, like, saying that, that there's, like, this beautiful sunset and then that comes back later in the film and stuff.
But also, though, I mean, you know, see, this is what's also cool, you know, father and son talking about this, like moment is because it's that, you know, like, first thing that Sterling K. Brown on Jobo says to him is, what, no tears for me? He says that to his son, is like, no tears for me. And, like, you know, and Eric is so angry, right? He has that feeling of, like, the strong abandonment and everything like that, that, you know, he doesn't know what to express, but it doesn't come out in tears because his heart is so filled with anger as being left behind. You know, he really actually doesn't know. I mean, like, what happened to with his father or everything, all he could do is what he could decipher. But now with this moment, to finally see him right in front of him, you know, and it was cool how they went back and forth between the young version of him and the older version of him. It's just that, you know, his father's like, well, no tears for me, you know? And it's just like, I don't know, for me, that was just powerful. You know, that moment is kind of like, this is an opportunity for us. So anyway, so as we move on from now, right, is that, you know, the mom, the kid, Everett Ross, you know, they go on a quest with the last heart-shaped herb because...
Sherry.
Yeah, and Sherry, sorry. They go on a quest to find allies, right? And they have the last heart-shaped herb, don't know what they're going to do with it, but that was leads them to M'Baku, and one of the most funniest and greatest scenes in the film, you know, and who knew, right? And stuff like that, you know.
But it turns out that they are vegetarians.
But I mean, you know, it's funny about that because that scene is played on so many different levels where it's kind of like, you know, one is like, you know, you're not allowed to speak here because for the Africans, they're like, you're colonists, you're not allowed to speak. But then also, too, is when he tried to put him down by saying, look, I will feed you to my children, you know what I mean? And then, you know, Everett Ross doesn't know what to say there. What? And that's what's great. Martin Freeman is great at reactions. But in that fashion, though, it's like, you know, to say, oh, don't worry about it, we're vegetarians. You know, it's the funniest thing because it alleviates a lot of the tension that, you know, was in that scene. But he's like their last hope. It's like, look, we need your help and everything. And they don't even know that he has T'Challa. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, you know, it's kind of like he knew. It's like he knew they were going to come and like, and everything. And now it was really great. It's like he was waiting. So anyway, so they go through the ceremony. They got the heart-shaped herb. They got T'Challa, you know, and they feed him the herb and they send him back into the soul world. And he gets to confront his father because this is where it all comes into pass. Where his father tells him, like, you're a good man and it's hard for a good man to be king. So what the father's really saying is, I'm not a good man, son. I'm a good king, but I'm not a good man, right? And then when the kid says to him, it's up to you to decide what kind of king you're going to be. Which is so powerful because it's up to the son to carve out his own path, right? I mean, you got that, right?
Yeah.
It's like, this is your time now. You know, you can love your father, you can respect him and do all that, but it's your time now. And so when T'Challa is able to confront his father on that, it's not like fully filled with anger because his father's saying, come with us, we're ready to go on. And he's like, nah, man, I gotta go back because what you've done, that's not me. This is not me. And I'm not saying that you're a bad person, but this is not me, and I gotta fix this. You know what I mean? And that was his rite of passage. That was his cross, you know, to bear and everything. And so now we get the real Black Panther when he's back. Before, he was the son of the Black Panther. He was the prince who was going to become king, and now he is the king. And it's such great writing that's what people was not really seeing and taking on board. You know what I mean? Because now that he's back, what does he do? We got that big action fight sequence, right? You know, with the rhinos and the Dora Milaje, and then he got to go against
like this helicopter, and then it explodes, and it's so cool.
But tell me, what do you think about that action sequence? That was amazing. What do you think about it?
Yeah, it was cool. You could feel like the vibrations and the
when he goes up against the border tribe with the shields. I mean, you know, we've seen this.
And then he has that Wonder Woman thing where it's like
with the burst. But that's what I mean. Is like that's the kinetic energy coming off the suit, which makes sense. But what I mean is like the shields, right? They cloaks. Like you're wondering why these guys run around in these blue capes, but they're like shields, like the way that the Romans had and everything. In every last Roman knight kind of film we see. But these magic like shield doors that they had. But then he leaps over. It's like the longest yard. He leaps over the crew, lands, and boom, and knocks them all back. One man, right? Now he probably knew, right? But he didn't know. He was ready to take on all of the tribes himself. And then the Dora Milaje, who were already conflicted for following Killmonger, you know, because that is what they have to do. A lot of people were wondering, why did Okoye betray him? She didn't. She said, look, it's my job to follow the king, whoever is the king. But now that the king is back, right? Boom, Dora Milaje went out there. It was, for me, see, you don't remember this. I just had to say this for the audience. There's this great film called The Wanderers, right? And I love it. You know, the Wanderers, when they go out onto the football field, and initially they're out there by themselves, but they have to be joined by the enemy and by the audience, you know, and everything. And then the Wangs come in and stuff, and it was just like how, M'Baku's tribe comes in, the gorilla tribe, you know, how they come in the last minute. So to me, there was one of those big battlefield sequences, right, that was amazing, and you knew who everybody was. This is why we needed all that world building about whose tribes and what are their abilities and all of that. And so the Black Panther, it's called Black Panther, but it's really Wakanda. That's what this film is, you know what I mean? That's who we're following, and that's what the film is about. Awesome sequence. And then, what did you think about Ross in that simulated ship thing? I mean, the fact that they gave him his moment.
It's interesting that he was fighting rhinos, because actually I believe
rhinos.
You know the Spider-Man villain, the Rhino.
Yeah.
That was he was like one of his first villains, like.
Yeah. Black Panther fought the Rhino.
Yeah. So it's like and he was like one of his first villains. So I feel like it was sort of a reference to that kind of.
Yeah, well, also the border tribe. That's the animal for the border tribe. So like each tribe has an animal god or spirit that they. Oh, you know what? That's the funny thing is. We're near the end now, but I gotta say we haven't really said anything about Shuri because all the jokes on Shuri is just fantastic and everybody else covered it. But what do you know how remember when Shuri first gets into the car, right? That she's driving for him, right? And she goes, "Wait a minute, what side of the road is on?" He said, "Oh, for God's sake!" Right? Did that confuse you?
No.
What do you think he says? For God's sake. Why does he say that?
Wait, he said what?
He said, for God's sake, drive the car.
I thought he said the F word.
Yeah. No. See, I know. That's what that's what it sounds like. But what's really clever is Boss is the Panther God.
Oh.
Right?
Oh.
It's the Panther God. No, it blew my mind when it came to me. It's like Boss is the Panther God. So when he says for Boss' sake, he's saying for God's sake, right? Or for F's sake. But he's using his, like his God. So he says for God's sake, just try to God. You know what I mean? It's so boom, pin drop. And then, oh God, when she said, "Oh, what are those?" And she gives him like the shoes she calls sneakers.
It was what are those?
What are those? What are you wearing?
You can clearly tell that the script is obviously outdated.
Why? Because it didn't say sneakers or why?
No, because of the what are those thing. Like it was a trend that people would always say in like 2016 and stuff.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. But either way,
Why'd you think it was so funny?
I thought it was funny because she's saying, what do you got on your feet? Because he was wearing sandals like you do, right? What are those? Right? That's what she said. But then, like, the thing is that, and then the scene where she gets him to kick the statues, and she knows that it's gonna be kinetic and he's gonna bounce it back. And he's like, "Oh, delete that footage." I mean, those little jokes are amazing. That's what I can't wait to see again. See the film again. I mean, like, this movie is great. So I mean, like, what I was just gonna say about the Everett Ross scene flying the Simulacrons, like they gave him something to do, right? But this was not your usual. Okay, here comes the White Knight. Right? Here comes like the white guy's gonna save the day. But in essence, right, it's the way you look at it, right? Because Everett did save the day. Because when Killmonger sent those ships off, right, to go out and attack the world is what he was doing, because for vengeance, right? So what it was Panther had too many things to deal with at home, right? So he couldn't stop the ships. Like he only knocked down the one ship. But he knew and trusted that Shuri was going to give that job to Everett Ross, going to put him in the simulator so she could take the Panther gauntlets and go out and help her brother, right? So they needed him to play his role.
Thank God that they had established earlier in the movie that he was a former pilot. Otherwise, that wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, I know, but that was kind of like one of those. He's a pilot.
Yeah.
Has to come back someday. Yeah, and but what I mean is like, so he's fighting and he's trying to take out all the ships. It's like about 7 ships that he's got to take out before they leave the border, and so he has something to do. So he's doing an aerial battle while they're fighting on the ground, and he's not fighting their people, they're fighting their own people and stuff like that. But he has to take down those ships and everything. And so in a way, he's protecting the world and protecting Wakanda at the same time. So he did, in essence, save the day. But it was like over there. It wasn't like the A story, it was a C story. And that's what was really good about that as well. So that news is like to the end where now that he's king again, they've lost some people and stuff, like they lost Zuri, Forrest Whitaker's character and everything, but they lost Eric Killmonger because, as we already know, and spoilers and stuff, that they had their Underground Railroad fight. Everybody told you that, right? And people said they were too busy complaining about the special effects. But then, like, somebody brought up the fact that, they were actually fighting on an Underground Railroad. You know what I mean? What you think about the effects in that? Did you really think it was that bad?
No, I thought it was kind of cool.
It was good because it looked like, 2 people fighting.
Yeah,
we know that these are all computer simulated. We know that. You're not fooling us. You know what I mean?
It's just that the thing is that, and this is the problem in MCU, is that a lot of the villains are pretty much, they have the same abilities as the hero and stuff, but they're just the evil version. So you have
they're what they call the Black Mirror.
So you have the Ironmonger in Iron Man 1, you've got like Yellow Jacket in Ant-Man, you've got like Hela in Thor Ragnarok, and you've got Abomination in Incredible Hulk, You got
That's the Marvel formula.
might be more stuff, but I can't.
No, but you just said them all like fantastically. I mean, Iron Man, Captain America. Cause well, in the original Captain America, you had Red Skull, so Red Skull was supposed to be his like polar opposite. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, but he doesn't have the same abilities and stuff.
well,
He doesn't have a shield, does he?
no, he doesn't have a shield.
If he had the shield, now I'd definitely say yeah.
Okay.
So,
You could also say crossbones, then, because you could say skull and crossbones is like the pirate flag. So they're like.
does he have a shield? No. Okay, moving on.
Okay. So anyway, but the point about it is you're absolutely right. But this one had more heart because
Yeah.
even though
Yeah,
T'Challa, you know, like mortally wounded Killmonger, he gave him his last request to see the sunset. You know, now he even said to him, "Look, we can probably heal you." And knowing that Shuri has healed Bucky, knowing that she had healed Everett Ross because he was shot in the spine, and she was able to heal him to the point of like feeling like it was magic. You know, he's like, "Look, you're still breathing. We could probably heal you." And he's like, "No,
No, because
bury me in the sea."
then I have to go to prison and crap and all that.
Now, the thing about it is, this was a powerful statement, right?
He's a real villain.
No, I know this was a powerful statement, but then also too is some people even equated it to the fact that hey man, you know Mandela's been in prison for like about 20 some odd years and everything like that, man. You know.
Well,
so,
has he? Mandela effect.
or has he? But either way, yes, he has. So like what I'm just trying to say though is that it was powerful. It was a powerful statement for an African American, which is what he represented. You know, to make a statement like that and to go out with his form of dignity, and for T'Challa to give him that dignity, and that is what was really great about that. You know, so T'Challa then decides to go back to his neighborhood, to the flat where Killmonger had to survive, and to buy the buildings in the neighborhood and form outreach centers and say, look, we're no longer going to be isolationists. We're going to give back now, not just to the black community, but to everyone. We're going to share the wealth and everything. And then that leads us to that first credit sequence where the guy goes, yeah, well, seriously, dude, what could you do for us? Right? So racist. What could you do for us? And then so all T'Challa had to do was just smile, you know what I mean? And Everett Ross smiles and everybody knew what he smiles. Yeah, just you watch. He says,
I'm Iron Man. And then the film ends.
I'm Iron Man. Oh no, oh yeah, that's what I was gonna say. So when the kid comes up to him and he says, who are you? And then, you know, he smiles instead of saying, I'm Black Panther. You know, it's like, we know who you are. You know, but some people said that kid was actually supposed to be Patriot from the comics. He was supposed to be Elijah Bradley. I mean, he was written that way, and he was supposed to be the son of the first black Captain America. You know, but then even though they still say it, so it's still an Easter egg, but like, it's something that they could follow up or they don't have to.
The thing is that we already have a black Captain America, and that is the Falcon.
No, I know that. No, I mean in the comics, right? There is the Young Avengers and everything, like, and there's a kid named the Patriot who is Elijah Bradley, who is the son of is it the grandson? I think it's grandson actually, because if you really legally say it, of the first black Captain America. Anyway, leading us to the final end credit sequence, because we gotta get out of here. So the final end credit sequence with the White Wolf. What did you think? Did that go right over your head? Probably.
No. Well, actually,
it was good to see Bucky.
I had forgotten that he was there in the first place.
Yeah.
So, and then I had seen Civil War, and then I was like, oh, it makes sense.
To be honest, I just thought it was kind of unfair because they've already established at the beginning of the movie that it was only a week later, right? You know, Bucky should have either had just been brought there because she mentions him. Oh, you got another broken white boy for me to fix, right? You know, it should take some time. He's been put in a deep freeze. It should have taken some time. So I really think that final end credit sequence was a couple of weeks later, right? You know what I mean? After the event of Black Panther. So he's recuperated. He's been on ice. So he wasn't a target because it wasn't the tribes that were trying to take out Bucky. You know, they didn't have the Black Order like you said is happening in Infinity War. So Bucky was never, they were never worried that he was going to come out of stasis. So now that he's out and he's healed, he comes out of that hut and everything, and she calls him a White Wolf, which is supposed to be the name.
No. She doesn't call him. The kids do.
Okay, he's calling him White Wolf.
Yeah. She doesn't call him White Wolf. It's
only I saw the subtitle on the screen, so the kids saying White Wolf.
Yeah.
So the White Wolf in the comics was like a soldier who crashed or whatever in Wakanda, and it's a young man. He was older than Black Panther, who was a kid, but like when Black Panther was raised, they were kind of raised like familiar.
He was his adopted brother.
Yeah, so he was like his adopted brother named Hunter, but he was a soldier, and he decided to be part of the Black Ops team, like the War Dogs that Nakia is on. So, but he wore a white wolf outfit, full face mask and everything like that. So later on, when Black Panther, T'Challa becomes Black Panther, they do have a adversarial relationship and stuff like that. So the question is that could they go down the road of Bucky becoming the White Wolf in a White Panther outfit and everything like that, and
for the Black Panther actual sequel.
Yeah, for the Black Panther 2 actual sequel. What do you think?
Yeah, it'd be like. Yeah.
Because then the Falcon can become Captain America because
because it's like if Captain America dies, then it's like
he's going. You don't think he's going?
No, I definitely think he's going, but it's like, So it's like, Sam Wilson will become Captain America, and then Winter Soldier, like.
Well, he doesn't need to be Winter Soldier because his mind is white now.
Okay, then Bucky doesn't really have anywhere to go, so I guess he just may as well just stay in Wakanda, as he does have a home, sort of there.
Well, remember, like the War Dogs scenario of Wakanda is they have the sleeper agents out in the world, mercenaries. So like he can go out, he could become the White Wolf from the comics in that aspect. Is what I'm saying is that they adopt him, because they fixed him. He's grateful, and he can help maintain their security and everything. So he could serve as the White Wolf, but out in the world and everything else like that. So. I think that's perfect for him to do that, and because we were always going back and forth was which one of them is going to take over the Captain America role. So obviously, Chris Evans' contract is up.
So is Junior's, Robert Downey Jr.
Well, yeah, he's going to.
And the other Chris.
He's going to, and
not Chris Hemsworth.
No. Chris Hemsworth will stay, but I mean, I think. That what the Iron Man scenario, you got Shuri who could take over doing all of that. She could be like Riri Williams in the comics, so she could be like Ironheart.
Or Shuri could take over Black Panther if he dies.
Well, that's true too. So there's two heroes that she could be.